Hey guys, welcome into the Bear With Us podcast, immediate reaction episode. The Bears have made their selection, the number 10 overall pick. The Bears have selected offensive tackle from Tennessee, Darnell Wright. Let's fucking go. Welcome. And you may have been hearing this and saying, whoa, hold on. Number 10, I thought they had the number 9 pick. Well, Frankie, the Bears, Ryan Poles, played a little master class. Traded back a little bit, just one spot, and got a 2024 fourth-round pick from the Philadelphia Eagles, who ended up selecting Jalen Carter. Frank, let's start. We'll talk about the Jalen Carter stuff a little bit later because I think it all kind of ties together. Let's start with the pick. Do you like it? Are you happy Darnell Wright is going to be your right tackle?
Jackie, I did for a couple of reasons. One, if all things equal, Paris Johnson would have been my pick. He got taken earlier, right? But then you're sort of left with, well, I was left with this nervousness of they're going to fucking pick a cornerback, aren't they? And the other thing was, I know last episode, I said I was a little more open to drafting Jalen Carter. I swear to God, as soon as I put the episode up the next day, there was not more reports of like coaches saying things. And I was like, okay, I'm out. I can't. So I was nervous about that. I did not want Jalen Carter. And then really the choice was like, just give me Skoronski, who I think, and a lot, just based on what a lot of people have said, that he may not be the best tackle, but he's the best lineman in the draft, the best offensive lineman if you kick him inside or outside. But I mean, we needed a right tackle bad. And that was the move. And he, in terms of just pure tackle play, was probably second behind Paris Johnson. I think my only reservations, and we've already talked about how mocks get thrown out of the window. I saw him going a lot, like the Bears trading to 17 or 19 and him still being available, but forget that. We got a right tackle. He should be plug and play starter from day one. That's an immediate improvement for this offensive line. I'm excited. How are you feeling?
Well, yeah, I mean, our listeners who listened to our podcast that came out yesterday heard me talk about Darnell Wright being my hope for their pick, and so I'm absolutely ecstatic. The more I thought about it, the more I talked about his domination in the SEC this past season, and he's also played all over the line, so there is a lot of versatility. But obviously, right tackle being a huge need for the Bears, we saw Ryan Poles really target that position. Ended up not wanting to spend the money that was being spent on the right tackle spot. Now you could potentially get one of the best. And I was listening to the ESPN broadcast, and Lewis Reddick, R.I.P. Lance Reddick. Lewis Reddick said that he thinks that there's a chance that Darnell Wright could be the best offensive lineman coming from this draft class. And one thing that I want to say in regards to what you had mentioned, and because I think a lot of Bears fans will have similar thoughts, because maybe it wasn't a name that they saw popping up a ton. Maybe they could have traded back. Here's the thing, though. The Cardinals, when they traded up to the number 6 pick after trading back from number 3 to go get Paris Johnson, I think Ryan Poles read the room and said, you know what, let's not play around. Let's get our guy. Because you saw Peter Skoronski, the offensive guard, tackle, whatever from Northwestern, went literally the pick after the Bears had picked the Titans. So if they were happy about that pick, if they wanted that guy, I'm glad they went and got that guy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The one thing I was to say, Jackie, the one thing to be excited about, I know the text or the Twitter stuff, and I came in hotter than maybe I should have, but he's the only lineman that's nasty. Look at his tape.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Like, and maybe it should have been, forecasted a little bit better. Because the tackles that were linked, and maybe it was a Chicago thing with Northwestern, a lot of Skoronski, and I still would have liked him, but Darnell Wright, I mean, that's just his player profile. He's just a nasty in the run game, good pass blocker. It sounds like he's better in the run game than a pass blocker as it stands, but again, I don't think there's a question of like, where does he play? Paris has played both sides. Skoronski, they don't know if people are going to kick him inside, even though I think that raises his floor. Darnell he's been renowned as a right tackle coming into this draft.
Yeah, and I've seen quite a number of people talking about the Bears pick, where and it's something we had talked about, where Darnell Wright is definitely more of a right tackle, right? Like he isn't going to be a guy you trust to play left tackle. You're probably not even going to try and put him there. Whereas like Paris Johnson, you bring him in, and you can kind of move some guys around. You can move Braxton Jones to right tackle if you need to, and then let him play left tackle, or he plays right tackle, and if Braxton is the answer. So from that perspective, from that aspect of it, I understand Bears fans' concerns where it's like, well, okay, is Braxton Jones a future starter at left tackle? I understand that, but Ryan Poles at this point, we kind of talked about it throughout the offseason, especially on this podcast. It doesn't matter if Frank or I think that Braxton Jones could be upgraded from. Ryan Poles made it pretty clear that he believes that Braxton Jones is the left tackle of the future. There's a reason he didn't go get Orlando Brown Jr., who wanted left tackle money, who wanted to play left tackle. When we were thinking that could be a really good signing for the Bears, he believes in Braxton Jones. So at this point, he's going to go get the best right tackle because he believes in the left tackle that he has. Whether that's right or wrong, obviously only time will tell.
And I mean, I feel the same way, and we've said this before. There's probably gonna be some new people listening to this because this will hit the algorithms pretty quick. So I'm getting this up right when we're done. But we felt the same way about Jack Sanborn. Whether that meant he was gonna play the mic again or not next year, he's earned a spot on this line. Whether that was staying at left or if they drafted a left tackle, kicking him out to right. It's no small feat for a 5th round tackle to play every single game. That's absurd. That means from day one, he showed everyone in that building that he could be a starter. That shouldn't go unnoticed. I mean, there are some second, third, even first rounders that does not happen to. Position be damned, especially one of the most important positions in football. So I think you have to give him another shot. It just happens to be that it's probably going to be left tackle again, and I'm okay with that. Jackie, I think before we get out of here, though, there was the trade back that you talked about that you hinted at. Yeah, let's talk about that really quick. What were your thoughts on trading down one spot with the Eagles?
Yeah, so obviously the player that they traded back for, the Eagles traded up for, Jalen Carter. And, it's pretty interesting because we've talked about the Eagles and the Bears being pretty comparable in terms of their growth rate, their, what the Bears could be down the road, could be the Eagles, depending on how they really build this team. And one of the things that you and I had talked about, Frank, in regards to Jalen Carter was the Bears aren't really in a position right now to be taking risks on guys with character concerns, with issues like Jalen Carter had, regardless of the player ability. But the Eagles are. The Eagles are at this point. And I'm assuming you're seeing the Jamar Gibbs
Oh, my
draft.
God. That is a horrible pick.
Yeah, the DeAndre Swift, RIP.
And Monty. They just signed Monty.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's weird. They did just draft. Yeah,
Wow.
Lions gonna line. Okay.
I thought they were going corner. I thought they were going Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's really weird. I didn't think about the fact that they just signed David Montgomery.
Yeah,
anyways.
Wow.
But yeah, the Eagles drafting Jalen Carter is a risk they can take. Yes. Right. And one element that makes a lot of sense, they were talking about how they actually have a few of Jalen Carter's teammates on the Philadelphia Eagles, the former teammates. That's a good environment for him to go into, regardless of, they can kind of get him on the correct path. They can show him how the Eagles do things, and they can maybe eliminate some of those character concerns. Whereas the Bears, they don't really have that locker room situated yet. So, maybe this is a pick they could have made if, a couple years from now. But right now, I think it's a smart, safe pick. And they got an extra 4th round pick next year for their trouble. Yeah.
And I think not only, Jackie, you touched on the locker room thing, which I agree with. The other thing is we don't have the talent for this pick to be a bust. And that's not to say Darnell Wright is a shoo-in. You never really know at the end of the day. But the Eagles, if he just winds up completely busting after 2 or 3 years, that's okay for them. They're still highly talented. They just made it to the Super Bowl, and they had the best defensive line in the sport. You know what I mean? It's so they have the luxury of Jalen Carter not working out, and that front office, it's probably not being affected whatsoever. The only other thing that it did tell me was no one bought into Will Levis like the draft people, the draft quote unquote experts did, because the Titans in need of a quarterback, they didn't even take him, let alone trade up with the Bears for him. The Buccaneers, they may wind up taking him a little bit later. They didn't trade up. They didn't feel any threat. Like, anyone who's interested in him in the teens or the 20s did not feel a threat of him being taken at 9 or 10. So that was telling to me that, because that's what we thought. We kept hearing, hey, if he's there, if Carter's there, someone's going to want to trade up. If Will Levis is there, someone's going to want to trade up. Obviously, the Carter thing happened, but the Will Levis thing did not. It felt like me with that, only trading down one spot. That was just the Eagles ensuring that no one else leaped them. And it was, obviously people weren't super hot on Carter because we only got another fourth, which people may complain about, but you only dropped one spot and you got the guy that you wanted anyway. What more are you going to get for dropping one spot?
Right. And not even dropping a spot. I mean, they literally they obviously were not going to take Jalen Carter. If they were, a 2024 fourth round pick wouldn't have convinced. Like, Ryan Poles wasn't like, all right, Jalen Carter, no matter what, gets a phone call from Howie Roseman who says, hey, we'll give you a 2024 fourth round pick for Jalen Carter. And Ryan Poles was like, oh, well, now you sold me. He wasn't going to take him anyways. You might as well pick up the extra capital as well.
Yeah.
But Frank, I can't be any happier. I'm not going to lie to you. This was the guy I over the last couple of weeks that I was starting to fall in love with. And again, it just kind of continues the trend for me personally, where Ryan Poles is doing the things that I want him to do, and it feels really good. And I hope that it works out. Yep. I really, that's all you can really do at this point. You can't really be mad at this pick. The Bears, Bears fans have been wanting offensive line help. It's the first offensive tackle they've drafted since in the first round since 2011. Like, this needed to happen. This pick, Gabe Karimi.
Holy shit!
This pick needed to happen, and they're building around Justin Fields, and this is exactly what you and I wanted. Yep. So can't be mad at it.
No, I totally agree. Wait, the 13th pick is in for the Packers. Let's see who this is. They go JSN?
I don't know. I feel like it's still going to be offensive line.
Let's see.
See what we got.
Lucas Van Ness. Oh, Jackie, this night gets even better, baby. With the 13th pick, the Green Bay Packers pick a fucking bust. Let's go! Jackie, I'm fucking stoked. Hey, listen, there's been rumors that the Bears may trade back into the back end of the first. I don't know who would be available to their liking, but we may have to do a second emergency podcast.
So the Lions take a running back after not having two already on the roster, and the Packers take a defensive end who you and I are not big fans of. Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's go.
I love it. Let's go. All right, Jackie, let's get out of here.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. If the Bears do make another first-round selection, we will definitely come back and do another immediate reaction to that. But if not, we will talk to you guys at the same time next week, and we will break down the Darnell Wright draft pick a little bit more. Frankie, talk to you then.
Later, Jackie. Later, everybody.
Everybody love everybody!